Hey guys, I'm filming this in the middle of filming a bunch of other stuff, so I don't have time to edit. I'm just going to do this all in one take. So I previously did a reaction to the trailer for the Corey Feldman documentary, My Truth, The Rape of Two Coreys. I have since watched the documentary. So for those of you who are unaware, I'm going to do a quick recap of before and after the doc dropped, and the doc itself. So Corey Feldman, obviously he was a child actor in the 80s and early 90s, and he grew up with Corey Haim, who was a fellow child actor. Growing up, I wasn't as big a Haim fan. I only really saw him in The Lost Boys, whereas Corey Feldman, I was a big fan of The Lost Boys, Gremlins, Friday the 13th, The Goonies, you know, so I was much more a Feldman fan, Feld fan, as they are now called. But as a child, Corey Feldman was sexually abused by some people on the sets of these films, producers and whatnot. There is one individual involved in all of this whose name I will mention later, but the others are more producers, and I can't remember the names off the top of my head, or casting directors, stuff like that. Now, the thing is, whenever a woman comes out with these sexual claims, people believe them instantly, and so they should. You know, all claims should be looked at immediately. Whereas when a man does it, people always say, why did you wait so long? But the thing with Feldman is that he didn't. Corey Feldman was sexually abused, and he reported it when it happened. He went to the authorities and reported it in the early 90s, and they didn't do anything. It was around this point they were investigating Michael Jackson. So he went to them and said, you know, I've been sexually abused. And because he was friends with Michael, they just said it was Michael Jackson, wasn't it? And Feldman denied it. And they wouldn't listen because the media wanted so badly to prove that Michael Jackson was guilty at that point. They weren't listening to any other allegations. So it went unnoticed. Feldman wanted to out this, and he wrote a book. But when he wrote the book, the publisher, obviously worried about a lawsuit, made him change the names of the abusers. So again, it fell flat. In several interviews, Corey Feldman named these abusers. He did. People are now hating on Corey for charging for this documentary, which I'll get onto later, because he should just give away the names for free. But he did, and you people didn't listen, and that's the problem. And right now, the fact that you're saying, why didn't he do this for free, proves that you didn't listen, because he has done this for free. He named his abusers in interviews, and nobody was listening to him. So Corey Feldman spent, I think it was 3 years, raising the money to make this documentary. But furthermore, his best friend Corey Haim was also abused and raped. And before he passed away in 2010, Feldman made him a promise that if he were to die first, he would tell his story. You know, Haim was struggling with drug issues at the time, and he just didn't have the confidence that Feldman has. And then he passed away from pneumonia. So in my trailer reaction, I thought his death was related to the drugs, but it wasn't. It was pneumonia, and for that I apologise. So Corey Feldman decided to make this documentary to out his abusers even more than they already have been, and to out Corey Haim's. He did several interviews hyping this documentary, and he was going to stream it one time worldwide. So everybody will be watching it at the same time simultaneously. It's a very weird way to premiere a film, but he wanted it so people wouldn't hear about it word of mouth and make up their own assumptions. They would all be watching it at the same time and make up their own minds, which is fair enough. I bought tickets. The fact that you have to pay didn't bother me. It was only $20, which was converted to around £15 or £16. It's not a lot of money. And also, Feldman funded this himself. He used his own money. It cost millions, I believe. And based on ticket sales, I believe he lost money making this. So, to me, right, I don't look at it as, oh, I've got to pay just to find out about these rapists or whatever. I'm paying to support a man who has been through hell. Like, it's the decent thing to do, but it's also how movies work. It seems like people are just nitpicking to find reasons to hate on Feldman for this, and I think it's disgusting, personally. I paid, didn't bother me, you know. $20 is whatever. And then the day comes, March the 9th, which was, I think, he said the 10 years since Corey Haim passed away. And based on the time zones, it would have been 3 a.m. that it was going to premiere in the UK. Now, I was willing to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch it. Feldman then announced there'll be a second stream the next day, which would have been 7 p.m. for UK viewers. And yeah, I could have caught the second stream, but I was adamant I needed to catch the first one. This was a big project, and I like Feldman, and I think he's an amazing person for what he's done. So I stayed up till 3 a.m. I went to bed early. I got up around 2:30, and I got up. 3 a.m. comes. Leading up to it, Feldman is tweeting saying, 10 minutes, and the stream isn't working for me. And I'm starting to panic. I go on Twitter, and it's not working for anybody. And I don't think Feldman realised, because he put up, oh, it's time. And then Feldman was at an undisclosed location with some family and friends and I think some journalists to premiere the film. Now, a lot of people didn't want this film to be shown. That was clear. They were trying to silence him because obviously he's naming big names in Hollywood. And I think he showed about 15 minutes at this undisclosed location before he asked for the lights to be turned back on because he realised the stream wasn't working. It was a bit of confusion at first, and it was then discovered that people were hacking the stream to prevent it from being shown. At the time, we just thought it was because so many people were trying to access this website at once, which can happen and it'll crash. I stayed up for 2 hours. I stayed up till 5 in the morning. I had work at 9, so I couldn't stay up any longer. But I stayed up for 2 hours. I couldn't stay up awake any longer. I went to bed. So Corey, his wife Courtney, and their friend Heather, who was also helping with the stream and helps with this website, were sending updates on Twitter about what was going on. I woke up the next day, the 10th, and there was still so much confusion. They were going to try to get the stream working that night for the second stream for the UK. It would have been shown worldwide, but it was primarily put there for people who would have been, the time zones would have made it difficult. And it must have been so frustrating for them because the thing is, they showed it at the premiere at the undisclosed location. They showed it to everyone there. So people were now accusing Corey of scamming people out of money. He asked for $20 and then doesn't show the movie. People were blaming him for maliciously doing this. And it wasn't his fault. I'll get onto that more later. So people thought he scammed people. He didn't show it. Now, he did show it. People then said the documentary didn't actually name names, but it did. He provided a link or whatever. As the day progressed, I had work. I got home. And the time for the second stream comes. And it doesn't get played. The time comes and it's still not working. Now, I won't lie, at the time, I did think, okay, this is a bit dodgy now. And I was starting to question it. But then about an hour later, it does. It finally gets working. And for people who are saying that Corey was scamming people, to make up for it, Corey and his wife and, Heather, they got the film to not only stream, but to stream continuously for 24 hours. It was streaming on loop for 24 hours for everybody to watch who had bought tickets. After that 24 hours finished, I'll get onto the documentary itself in a sec, but after it finished, they wanted to make up to people who weren't able to watch it in those 24 hours. So as of right now, you can still go and see this film. It is on mytruthdoc.com. I believe it's on loop. You can watch it until Friday or Saturday. One of those. They put it on demand for 6 days. I am urging you to go and watch this documentary. Apparently, some people ridiculed the documentary for telling things that people already knew, which does that make the rape cases any less vital because people already knew? Secondly, I didn't know this. So for those unaware, apparently this was a big story for a while and it's been talked about in Hollywood for ages. And like I say, I'd never heard of this. When Corey Haim made the film Lucas in the 80s, he was raped by co-star Charlie Sheen. Now this was a shock to me. I didn't know about this. I used to love Charlie Sheen. I haven't seen too many of his films. I've seen Hot Shots. I've seen him in the Scary Movie films. I've not seen Platoon. But I love Two and a Half Men. I watched Two and a Half Men so much, and I loved it. Now, the documentary isn't like Leaving Neverland. So, like, Leaving Neverland was very heavy. Michael is guilty, and they didn't show any signs from the other side. With the Corey Feldman one, although they're saying, you know, Haim said this before he died, they have evidence, they have other witnesses, but they also show this person disagrees, this person says, oh, Corey Haim never told me that. You know, so it is open-minded. Now, Corey Haim's mother, Judy, has denied that Charlie Sheen did this. But the odd thing is, Feldman shows emails where she admits it. There's screenshot evidence in this. There's, you know, Corey Feldman has exes who he's still on good terms with and just praise him. You know, there's evidence in this that Charlie Sheen did these things. The annoying thing is that it's being shoved under the rug now. It was trending for the 2 days that it was streaming, and then it went under the rug because, unfortunately, it was literally the same day when Harvey Weinstein was committed for 23 years in prison. So people were more focusing on that, and it's not right. I want this to get more attention. I'm only a small channel, so I'm just going to do this video to, you know, do my best. I've spoken to Heather, and I'm just going to do my best to get this out there. Don't support Charlie Sheen or anything he does. Unfollow him on everything, and go and watch this documentary, because it's only, I think it's about 80 minutes long, and it's a very difficult watch. I won't lie. Most documentaries of this subject matter usually are. It's an eye-opener. You'll cry. But the sheer bravery of Corey Feldman is amazing. It's inspiring. It's admirable. I just want to hug him. I'm not even lying. Like, I don't give a shit what people think of me. He risked his life making this doc. That's not an exaggeration. He was nearly killed for making this documentary, and he still did it anyway. And I can't fathom people saying he's doing it for attention, because if he was doing it for attention, wouldn't he have said Michael Jackson touched him? Like, when they were making Leaving Neverland, wouldn't he have spoke out and said, oh yeah, Michael Jackson touched me too, if he was lying? And the things that he says in this documentary, I'm sorry, I just can't fathom someone would say that, you know, and lie about it when it's about their dead best friend. I can't get my mind around that. There's no way. And Feldman has never worked with Charlie Sheen. You know, as far as I know, had no altercation with Charlie Sheen. So why did he just wake up one day and randomly decide to, you know, pick a random celebrity's name out of a hat and decide to make accusations? Furthermore, they use a clip from the reality show they had, The Two Coreys, where they're rolling and they have an argument. And Corey Haim specifically says on camera about a rape, and he's like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And you can see in Corey Feldman's eyes, he doesn't know what to do because they're rolling. They're filming. Corey Haim says it. You know, it's a shame. And the documentary, I think, needs more attention. I doubt Corey Feldman's ever going to see this, but if you do, bro, you have all my support. Sorry for the past. Yeah, just please watch this documentary, mytruth.com, and just don't support Charlie Sheen or any of the other people named in the documentary. They're scum.